Hey, welcome to EPN. My name is Victor Lucas, and we bring you the latest in everything cool every single day. We've got a great rundown for you, and I am dedicating this one to George Lucas, who doesn't get enough credit. Here's your rundown, Mr. Lucas. I dedicated the rundown to George Lucas because my fingers are crossed. We won't have to wait much longer for a look at the new version of the galaxy's favorite scoundrel. The first trailer for the new spin-off movie Solo, A Star Wars Story, is set to debut on Monday morning during the broadcast of Good Morning America. We wouldn't normally report about when a trailer is going to be released, but with this film, everyone is very anxious to see what it looks like. The movie is set to be released in less than 4 months, but at the time we're filming this, Disney hasn't even released so much as a poster, which is unheard of for a big-budget movie like this. Star Wars fans are especially curious given all the behind-the-scenes drama.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Last year, Disney and Lucasfilm abruptly fired original directors Phil Lord and Chris Miller, replacing them with veteran filmmaker Ron Howard, and there are rumors that he had to reshoot significant portions of the film. This would give Howard very little time to actually finish the movie, and although many had expected Disney to delay the release, they've stuck to their guns and are still planning to have it out on May 25th. We'll let you know what we think when the trailer is released on Monday.
Everything's under control, situation normal.
Players are going to be able to explore more than just the backwoods of Montana in Far Cry 5. Ubisoft has announced the Season Pass content for their new open-world shooter. Players will get 3 batches of post-launch DLC, and all 3 of them feature zany new locations and scenarios. The first DLC batch is called Hours of Darkness and takes players back in time to an Apocalypse Now-style version of the Vietnam War. The second is called Dead Living Zombies, which is pretty self-explanatory, while the third and final batch of DLC is called Lost on Mars, and guess where that one takes place? Although the base Far Cry games are usually pretty realistic, Ubisoft has enjoyed making crazy expansions like this ever since the success of the neon-coated Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. Speaking of which, Far Cry 5 Season Pass holders will also get a copy of the original Far Cry 3 on top of all the DLC.
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
Ubisoft hasn't named a price for the Season Pass, but we do know it will be available by itself or as part of the game's Gold Edition. Far Cry 5 lands on March 27th. In related news, Ubisoft has revealed that their tactical shooter Rainbow Six Siege is getting some out-of-this-world content of its own. They've announced the first intel about the upcoming Year 3 of new content for the game, and it includes new events called Outbreak and Operation Chimera. They'll see players take on a biohazard threat in a small New Mexico town, and judging by this brief teaser trailer, it looks like the threat involves aliens from outer space. This would be a big change of direction for Rainbow Six Siege, given how serious the game has been so far, but now that it's in its 3rd year, it makes sense that Ubisoft wants to shake things up a bit. Year 3 kicks off soon. Augmented reality games and apps are about to get a whole lot better. Pokemon Go developer Niantic Labs has acquired a smaller company called Escher Reality that specializes in creating new AR tech and software. First of all, they've created software that allows 2 different users to interact with each other in the same AR space, which means you can bounce a virtual ball back and forth between each other, as seen in this tech demo. The other big innovation that Escher Reality has developed is software that can create persistent AR worlds, which means you can interact and change a virtual object, leave, and then come back later with the same changes still in effect. Other users would be able to change the same objects as well. Both of these innovations seem like they'd be perfect for AR games like Pokemon Go, and Niantic says they plan to use them to create the next generation of AR experiences. Augmented reality has been getting more and more popular thanks to the success of Pokemon Go, with all the big tech companies rushing to embrace the format. Playing soccer with little racing cars is going to start looking a lot better. Rocket League developer Psyonix has announced that they're adding 4K support for the game on the Xbox One X. It's coming later this year, and the team says they plan to have it run at 4K complete with high dynamic range and at a constant 60 frames per second. Similar 4K support was introduced on the PS4 Pro last year. These aren't the only versions of the game getting a visual update. Psyonix says that they're also working on improving the Switch version. Right now, it only runs at 900p while docked and 720p in handheld mode, both at 60 frames per second, but they plan to introduce a new option that will lower the frame rate to 30 frames per second, but increase the resolution to 1080p when docked and remain at 720p in handheld. This way, Switch owners will have a choice between better resolution or better frame rate. Expect that to arrive in a free update this spring. The makers of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds want to give players their just desserts or just deserts. The latest patch has landed for the PC version of the insanely popular game, bringing several big changes to the new desert map, Miramar. The biggest change is that the patch makes it a lot easier to drive vehicles around the map by adding more off-road routes. If you get out of your vehicle, the developers have also added more buildings throughout the map, which will give players more cover and hopefully improve the engagement experience. The patch also includes the usual balancing tweaks and bug fixes. Miramar launched back in December, but so far many players have complained about the map, saying that it's not as good as the first map, Erangel. Hopefully, the developers can win them over by continuing to make tweaks like this. Otherwise, the success of Battlegrounds might just be a flash in the pan. All right, my friends, that wraps up this edition of The Rundown. We'll be back again on Monday with a brand new episode for you. And over the weekend, you'll see a new classic episode of Electric Playground pop up. We've got tons of content for you to check out, so please do that. And if you dig it, hit subscribe, that little bell, and if you're so inclined, that sponsorship button too.